everyone, Mark Anthony here, TheVegasTourist.com. Some of you have asked whatever happened to the MGM Lions. They used to have that exhibit inside the MGM Hotel. Well, it's no longer there. So where are they? Well, they are residing happily at the Lion Habitat Ranch. In fact, that's where we're heading to now. We're going to be speaking with Keith Evans, the founder of it, and talk to him about how he got into the business, what happened, why is he no longer at the MGM, and what you can do to help him save the Lions. Welcome back. I'm Mark Anthony, TheVegasTourist.com, and I'm standing next to Keith Evans, the owner of the Lion Habitat Ranch, correct?
Correct, Mark.
How long have you been here?
Well, I've been at this location since 1989. I've been in town since 1974.
Holy cow.
Yeah, long time.
Where'd you move from?
Ohio.
Oh, you got tired of the snow like me?
Yes. And I had a choice, move to New York for commercials or LA. I chose West Coast.
All right. Now you own this with your wife, right?
Yeah, we're the president. It's a nonprofit.
All right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. 501c3.
Cool. All right. And you guys used to be the Lions at the MGM.
I designed the habitat and supplied the animals for 15 years.
How did you get into this? I mean, you just don't wake up one day and say, I want to play with lions.
Well, actually, back in the 70s, I was in Florida going to school, and a gentleman had the cougar, the Mercury Cougar. And the cat was laying on top of a car, and I got off the beach, and I go, strange to see a mountain lion on top of the car, just laying there. I mean, nice and completely. So him and I started talking. He was a fire chief of Cocoa, Florida. And so I thought, well, this is pretty slick. A year later, I've had to repossess some cats from somebody that had a zoo in Ohio, and two of them were cougars. So the gentleman that owned the pet store and myself, we each took one. And he was already 8 months old and fully clawed, but by learning how to work with him over the phone, him and I drove all the way from Ohio to Florida in the back of my Corvette.
You had a cougar in the back of your Corvette?
Yeah, back of my Corvette, I had a cougar. And so when Dave saw how well we did, he agreed to sell me a leopard. And then I got one leopard and then two more leopards. And the leopards and the cougars all lived in a house with me. We went to sleep at night with them, just like you would a dog.
Okay, so how did you end up at the MGM?
Well, we were coming out to go to San Francisco and open up a nightclub with the cats called the Cat House. And we'd spent about 7 or 8 months there. And if you knew where the old heliport in Sausalito was, well, we were talking to what we found out was a junior partner.
Oh.
And he was going to lease us the building, and we're going to put the cats there. Then I could do commercial work in California. Well, the senior partner is a gentleman who designed the Coca-Cola bottle. So he was leaving that property to his grandkids, and he didn't want to make the lease. So while we came through Vegas, we stayed here for a couple of days. The old Las Vegas Zoo was closing, right, over by Tule Springs.
Okay.
And my wife at the time got too close to the leopard cage, and the leopard grabbed her purse. Well, I said, could I go in and get it? And they go, you nuts? But I'd been living with 4 leopards already, so I said, yeah, I'm nuts. And somebody took a picture because the zoo was closing, and the next morning they had offered me a job to work on a strip. So, and a good money. So I said, well, I don't have to move to California after all. But it took me a year to get a permit to move here, and by that time that job was gone. Okay. So then we started doing Uniroyal tires commercials for Fletcher Jones. Those Tigers were ours. Then we went to Doug Henning Magic, and we did Charles Chastain clothes and a whole bunch of a couple other things. And then we started working for the MGM in 74 and 75. When I first got here, they had another guy that had the Dolphin here, and they pulled the Dolphin out of the show. So to keep him employed, they let him work the lion in the show. He didn't know what he was doing. So I offered to help him, and while it worked for a while, he just was too abusive. He'd use a stick on the cat. Ooh. So I said, you be there and I'll be here. And then they started taking photos with the MGM Lion in 77, and they said, would you do this? And I said, yeah, I could do it. We didn't agree on a price. So they kept the same guy they had at the MGM doing the lion in the show. They had a lot of problems. He opened up, they said, would you do the Reno one? And I said, well, I'll look at anything. And when we got done, they ended up hiring this guy again. So I went about and did my regular work and, stayed busy for the next few years. And they called me up in '84 and said, could you come back and look at Reno for us? It's the only one that was operating, because after the fire, they shut the photo down at the MGM here. And the guy had run off with all their money and crossed state lines and told them that he was robbed and got caught cashing the checks in Utah, so the FBI was involved. So, I took over a MGM Lion in '84, and I worked there until '89. In the middle of that, Disney called us in '87, '88, because they were opening up Disney World with the MGM studios. Right. And I had the logo licensing for the MGM logo in the Lion. So it would have worked out perfectly. And then they decided to put the Musketeer Club in my spot. The guy was on the plane, because they had Disney Imagineers guys up there. We designed the habitat, did everything. Same thing I did at the MGM. And then there's a plane between Orlando and Reno. He stopped in LA, and some little person from Disney decided, well, we're going to put the Musketeers back in, and my spot was taken. So MGM said, we're going to buy more property in LA. Would you come down here and reintroduce everybody to the Lion? I said, sure. So in '89, we came back here to town and opened up the marina. We thought we were going to open up the dunes, and then he sold that, and then he bought the sands, and he sold that. So he bought the Marina Hotel with the golf course and the Tropicana. And we came out, and if you were here in 1990, we had a big yellow tent on the corner of Tropicana and the Strip, where we took pictures with the original MGM Lion, Metro, the great-great-great-grandson to all these guys here. So we were doing that, and then they were supposed to be there for, they thought maybe a year or two while they got ready to build a new MGM hotel. And I guess too many people complained the marina was not up to MGM standards. So within 5 months, they shut everything down. They said, but don't worry, when we open a new one, you'll have a place indoors and outdoors. And I go, okay, because they were building the theme park. When they opened up, they had a new president. He didn't want any live animals on the property. So we went to work doing magic for Spellbound. And we did that for 2 or 3 years. And then in '96, Mutual of Omaha called and said, Jim Fowler's going to come and do a health show, and would you supply the animals? And we've done it in the past. And I said, okay. And he goes, it's at the MGM. And I go, no. I said, they didn't keep their word to me. Nobody that I know has ever gone back on that property since. And they go, really? It's going to be in the theme park. You won't even be in the hotel. He says he really needs them. So we had 2 lion cubs, a snake, a chinchilla, and something else. I forget. It was a hedgehog or something that we brought for the kids at the health fair. And so then some lady saw us with the cubs and saw how well they behaved with us. And she goes, let me talk to somebody. And I go, good luck. I've been here before. But this time she knew the president of the corporation, Alex. And he goes, yeah, we need lions here. So they brought us back in '96. And they saw how well it took over at the Super Bowl. We did a Super Bowl party for them. And they said, oh, that's a good idea. So in '97, we opened up Studio Walk, doing cub photos. And then I designed the habitat. In '99, we opened up the habitat. In 2012, we closed the habitat.
You have a rich history on the Strip.
Yeah, I've been around a while, and I used to do special events for like Caesars. Virtually every hotel on the Strip has thrown some kind of live event that we've done, and that's usually what I do because of the magic. Mine's live. All my tigers came in on cue. They didn't get loaded ahead of time. And then, you keep them in a box for an hour, and then surprise, they're here. My stuff was all live action. When they opened the porte-cocheres at Caesar's Palace, we had cats on platforms inside the fountains, plus I walked a big male around the whole thing all through the crowds. So, we're really good at what we did. We did, the Dunes Hotel opened up their new suites, and we took one of my big tigers that did the magic show up there, and he's laying on marble floors with models, and we've still got the cover somewhere, in models in tuxedos and evening gowns because they want to promote the suite. And I said, well, he's going to have to go to the bathroom. And they go, uh-oh. And I said, don't worry. And I let him loose, and he goes right into the bathroom, and he gets in a tub, and he pees in a tub because that's how we trained him when he's living in the house. So they didn't have to get anything messed up in their big suite. So that's kind of the stuff, we've done camels. We did Dick Clark Live with a white camel. The only contract I did on TV that I didn't get a residual contract when I signed it, they said, it's a live show, nobody will repeat it. Yeah. 3 weeks later, he repeated it.
Of course, yeah. So, okay, so in 2012, MGM, pardon?
They shut it down.
Right, okay. You are basically in the shadow of the M Resort at the end of Las Vegas Boulevard.
Correct.
What is the purpose of the ranch?
Well, the ranch has always been here because we used to take the Lions back and forth to the hotel. Cats didn't live at the hotel ever. Only one time did they spend the night is because two girls, Samantha and Noelle, didn't want to leave. So I had to spend the night there with them because they thought it was so much nicer than, coming back to work here where you have to actually walk on dirt. They had, waterfalls, air conditioning, everything, nice and quiet. It was soundproof, couldn't hear the casino, but they could see everybody. So they finally came out the next day, but yeah. So we've been basically here, and we weren't allowed to bring anybody here the whole time we're at the MGM because they didn't want anybody visiting us instead of the hotel. When the contract was going to end, whenever it ended, because it was originally going to end in 2009, and they kept extending it, so they extended it to 2012. They were going to run a shuttle, just like they do to Prim, and bring people out here. So we figured, okay, we'd survive that way. Well, when the next president came in, again, no animals, cutting it down, and so no shuttle, no nothing. So we've been supporting it on our retirement fund and our savings.
But there's, this is a habitat. This is what these are protected. They're not for show or anything.
Right. They're not. Never did we ever make anybody perform. We didn't do, when we did a magic trick, he didn't have to get up and stand on his hind legs like a circus. We've never used whips or chairs. Nobody on this property is allowed to carry sticks, anything in their hands. All our cats are controlled by voice. You saw me feeding and giving the big male lions water, and my hands are right in there in their mouth when they're getting that. So this is how they're all raised.
This is your family.
Kids, yeah.
Yes.
These are my kids. Yeah, I don't have kids, and these are it. And so we take it real personal when people think they know what the animal wants and, what they need. And, people go, oh, the lion needs to roam, hundreds of miles to go get its food. And the truth of the matter is, if lions in the wild had a water source and the food walked by them, they'd never move. I mean, there's reasons that the statues say lazy as a lion, and they sleep 18 to 20 hours a day all the time. So they're a perfect animal to be comfortable in a narrower environment where they don't have to go chase their food because they're lazy. They'd rather, as you see, he won't even sit up for the water. He'll go, okay, I'll take it. That's the nature of the animal. And it's also good for us because lions are the only animal that lives in a pride. So we bond in their pride, and that's why we can go in with different prides like you saw us hand feeding.
Right.
You'll go back on Facebook, you'll watch, we were in with that mother at 4 weeks old and her babies sitting on the ground with a mother, babies, and food, 3 things you shouldn't do with lions, and they just sit there and eat off our lap and wait for us to feed them. So I know that we're doing something right, otherwise we'd be dead.
When people come here, what are they seeing?
They're getting to see all the lions much closer than they would ever in a zoo. They get a free picture with Bentley if depending on whether he wants to come up or not. But usually he comes up, but the weather's hot, so he likes his air-conditioned box. They'll see Ozzy, the only Ozzy giraffe in Nevada. They can feed him. They can feed a lion through a barrier if they want. They pay extra for that. But it's mostly you'll never see this many lions, even if you go to Africa in one location.
How many?
40.
40 lions.
Yeah.
Didn't count those. Oh, okay.
So I've got cats that are up by my house that are off public spook. The lion that we took MG from the latest zoo to close here, yeah. She lives by the house. She's outlived 3 of our older males, and I don't have another male to partner her up with, so she's living outside my bedroom. 2 of the older cats, Noelle, who's be 20 this year, lives by my house. So we don't put them on display because they've been out there enough, and we want to keep them close by us so I can see them and they hear me every day.
You have a very knowledgeable and friendly staff that are also family to the cats.
Yeah. Everybody's Sam, one of the girls that's there, the blonde now, started out as ticket sales at Habitat, and we've trained her completely to where her and Benny get along really well.
It's fun to walk around and watch them. Because of the respect the human has for the cat has for the human. The one thing I didn't really realize until I watched you walk around is they all have a personality.
They have personalities and they know you. I mean, when I used to do the magic shows, I wore my keys just like this. They can hear the keys before my wife could. And she knew when I was coming back off stage because the cats would go, okay, he's here. And so we had 2 shows going, one here in Las Vegas and one in Reno. So there was a problem and I had to fly up to Reno. So I gave her my keys and it worked for the first show. The second show they figured out, he's not there with the keys. She goes, we couldn't get it. Elsa the lioness wouldn't go out. She goes, It worked. I heard him the first time, but he wasn't there. So very smart animals. Yeah.
You're not a nonprofit.
We're a nonprofit. Like we're a broke nonprofit. Yeah, we started out in 12 as a for-profit, ranch that we opened up, and we had all these people come in and say, "Well, I'd love to donate to you, but you're not a, nonprofit." Well, we kept asking, trying to get lawyers to do the paperwork because they said, it's between $5,000 and $10,000, and we couldn't afford just to blow $5,000 or $10,000 to file it. Well, by 14, I said, well, our funds are running low. I better get us to be a nonprofit. So I filled out the paperwork on LegalZoom. And I had the paperwork back as a nonprofit in 3 months, which is really short time. People that were going to donate disappeared. So
of course.
We're really struggling trying to keep it afloat for the community because we get all the school kids in here, as you see by some of the stuff on the walls. We think that the county has 2 million people in it, and most every city that has more than 700,000 has a zoo. And we'd like to expand this and become at least an African-themed zoo so the kids would know what they are. We had so many people come into the habitat, even the adults, and go, look at the tigers. And I go, no, these are all lions here at the MGM. Tigers are at the Mirage, but they got stripes. So, there's a lack of education because these kids have never seen them.
Right.
And so, and you don't make that connection to save them in the wild if you don't make a connection with them here. You look at a picture book and you go, oh, that's a lion. But when you hear a lion roar, or you're like 4 feet away, and he's right there in your presence and he looks into your eyes, you make that connection with him, so you're more likely to save him in the wild. And in the wild, they're disappearing. They're taking him out of reserves, Cecil, to shoot as trophies. And if they're not doing that, they're poisoning everything. To kill one lion, they'll now put a carcass out that the hyenas eat, the vultures eat, the lions eat, giraffes will get into it, and they kill all these species out, or they'll poison the water hole, and everybody will die just to protect a few corn crops. And so we've donated to the Maasai tribes to not poison anything, pay for the damages. And we donate to build bombas, which are protections to keep their cattle safe, from supposedly. But, so we try to do everything. We donate to giraffe conservation because giraffes are dying off as fast as elephants. And just nobody's making a statement about it. There's only 4,500 of these kind of giraffes left in the world.
Wow. Okay, so both locals and tourists come here.
Yeah, and in fact, we get people, because we were so long at the hotel, we get people from Europe that come in here and want to know what the cat they saw at the hotel, is it still here? We just had a private tour for a lady that took a picture with Peaches 19 years ago. And she wouldn't come from England until I said, okay, you tell me the day you're here and I'll make sure, she's here and her 2 sisters are still here. And I went out, walked in a cage with them and brought them right up to the area so she could see them closer. But, now they're 500 pounds, 400 pounds. They're not sitting in her lap anymore. But, we get that kind of traffic. People would come, even when we're in the habitat, they would call to see who's going to be on display because they grew up with these cats.
Right. It was interesting because I had talked to a couple of the volunteers actually,
okay.
And I asked, why do you volunteer? And they're like, well, I came here just to see them, and then you look at them and you're like, I'm volunteering. You do fall in love with them. They just
you're looking at predatory animals that are behaving more like house cats here, and that's one of our problems is. We make it look easy too sometimes, but we never recommend anybody have them as pets. We just want you to watch what we do because I'm a professional. Don't do this at home. Because then you're more likely to see that there's not a reason to go shoot these animals. You can have a connection to them. When we can walk in there, and you saw me walk in, we take food right in. I had a pan of food in my hand. I put it in front of that mother, and she didn't take the food out of the bucket. She waited to me to hand feed it to her. Everybody's like that. when we did them at the habitat, same thing. Guy will have 5 pounds of meat in his hand, and they'll wait to take it out of your hand. That lion could easily just kill him, take the food, and say, yeah, I'm done for the day. They don't do it because we've made a bond with them. And that means there's no reason to go shoot them. They're not a predator that you have to kill and destroy off the face of the earth. If you would treat them, they would just behave the same way as ours do.
True. And again, going back to the conversations that I've had with your volunteers, that's basically the same thing that they said is that, yes, they fell in love with it because it's a cute animal, but then they began to volunteer. They learned the history of the animal, and I go back to that respect of the animal.
Right, and that's basically it. Our animals trust us, and we respect them, and we expect anybody coming in here. We had to kick 4 kids off here last week. They were young adults because they were running back and forth a set of lions, Frank and Jesse in the back. And I go, what are you doing? And then he reached over the fence, got underneath the fence, and put his camera up against the cage. I said, off the property, I'm sorry, you're welcome to come back, but I said, I can't have this kind of behavior. And he goes, okay, well, we can come back. And I said, yeah. I said, but you can't do this. I said, we don't let anybody torment our cats. I said, because the next time I walk in there, I might find out that he's pissed up at you and take it out on me, right, because we don't do that behavior. So, it's just good common sense.
If anyone wants more information, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, lionhabitatanranch.org, and we'll have a new website up here within a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Okay, let's switch gears.
Okay.
If a long-lost friend calls you and says, I'm coming into Vegas, what are the 3 things that a Vegas tourist should do?
Don't gamble. Come see us and eat at Michael's Steakhouse for all the money you save gambling.
Ooh, I like that one. Vegas hidden gem. What is something that other than the lion habitat?
Us? I used to say Lake Mead, but we don't have a lake anymore. I don't know of any place. I would say the M Resort would be my next best hidden gem, because for the amount of people that go to stay at the Strip and then want to come out here, they'd have a much better time at the M. The rooms are great. The place is brand new. They've got great restaurants, and I think they're a hidden gem here.
All right. Favorite Vegas show?
Mystere, the original.
Oh, cool. All right, good. Yeah. Okay. Favorite Vegas movie?
Ocean, the original.
The original. All right. All right. Okay. These were not these weren't used in Hangover.
In what?
No, in the movie Hangover.
No, no. That was California.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, cool.
We used to board Tyson's cats here, the tiger.
Really?
Yeah, I trained Kenya to come in the house and sit down and behave. And he got it from a guy in Ohio. The first time I met Mike, I had to take 2 of his cats away from him because he didn't have permits, and deliver them back to the trainer in California. Kenya, he could keep it as long as she stayed with us. And then I would take it over to his house and work with her, and then he'd come over here and play with her. But when I too many times I told Mike no. He doesn't like that word. And I won't take any risks. So I go, no, this is the only thing you can do is this way, and other than that, no. So we parted company after he lost his fight to Vander, and he got the guy from Ohio, and he goes, well, this cat doesn't do any tricks. I go, she's not supposed to do any tricks. She sits down on the floor while you're eating breakfast and stays there. I said, that's the trick. I said, she's just behaving. I said, I'm not going to make her stand up on her hind ends and, do hoops. I said, the trick is that she won't eat you. So, yeah.
What do these things eat? What do these cats eat?
Well, they're on a balanced diet now of horse meat, and it's called Nebraska brand, and it's a prepared diet for all zoos. So they get all their minerals and vitamins in their food.
How much do they eat?
How many? 350 pounds a day? Yeah. Yeah.
Total?
Yeah. Well, plus their treats and stuff, but yeah, main diet in the morning.
Yeah, but the 150 pounds is not per cat.
No. That's for all of them. They'll eat between, we try to keep them, especially in the summertime, they'll not eat as much because they don't move and they don't burn off the calories. Wintertime, they'll go up. They eat between 7 and 10 and 12 and 15 pounds.
Cool. All right. And when are you open?
Right now, 4 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. In the summertime, 10 to 2. Last entrance, 1:30. When it gets to be cooler, we'll open 11 to 3. And then the last entrance is 2:30.
check the website. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for showing us the habitat.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming out again.